The United States is about to host the biggest World Cup in history. 48 teams, hundreds of millions watching, and the entire football world focused on one question: can America finally become a real football powerhouse? Because for most of history, the answer has been simple no. They've never reached a World Cup final. They've never been considered true contenders. But 2026 feels different, not because of hype, but because for the first time ever, every ingredient needed for a deep World Cup run might actually be in place at the same time. A talented generation, elite European experience, home advantage, and a tournament structure that could work in their favor. This isn't about whether the USA will win the World Cup. It's about something far more realistic and far more dangerous for the rest of the world. What if they go further than anyone expects? For decades, the United States existed on the edge of world football. While nations like Brazil, Germany, Argentina, and France built dynasties, soccer in America was still growing into its identity. There were early sparks, like 1930, when the USA reached the semi-finals of the first ever World Cup. But then came a long silence on the global stage. Everything changed in 1994. When the United States hosted the World Cup, it wasn't expected to compete. It was expected to participate. But something bigger happened. The tournament exploded in popularity. Stadiums were packed. The atmosphere surprised the world. And most importantly, it planted a seed. Major League Soccer was born. Youth football exploded. Investment followed. And slowly, year by year, America stopped being an outsider. By 2002, they reached the quarterfinals, beating Portugal and pushing Germany to the limit. It was the first sign that something was building. But even then, there was a clear ceiling. They could compete. But they couldn't quite belong with the elite. Until now, one moment often gets overlooked. The 2022 World Cup in Qatar. The United States didn't just qualify. They reached the round of 16. And they did it with one of the youngest squads in the entire tournament. That matters, because most of those players are now entering their peak years. The experience of playing under World Cup pressure, surviving group stage tension, facing elite opposition, has already been earned. That's the foundation 2026 is built on. The current team is the most talented generation ever. This is where everything changes. The United States has never had this level of talent spread across Europe at the same time. This is no longer a team relying on one or two standout players. It's a core group competing at the highest level every week. Christian Pulisic, now an established attacker at AC Milan, playing in one of Europe's most tactical leagues, capable of deciding games at the highest level. Weston McKennie, a complete modern midfielder, blending intensity, intelligence, and versatility in top-level European football. Tyler Adams, the tactical anchor, a midfielder who reads the game, breaks up play, and sets the tempo. Yunus Musa, dynamic, unpredictable, and growing into a major midfield force. Tim Weah, pace, directness, and threat in transition. Serginho Dest, attacking width and technical quality from fullback. And up front, emerging goal threats like Folarin Balogun and Ricardo Pepi. This is the key difference. Previous USA teams had athletes. This team has footballers. Players shaped in Europe's most demanding environments. And that changes everything about how far they can go. This team is also built differently tactically. They are not trying to dominate possession against elite teams. They are built to hurt opponents in transition. Fast, direct, physical, structured. They can press aggressively, recover quickly, and attack space with pace. That matters in tournament football. Because World Cups are not won by the most beautiful teams. They are won by the most effective ones in high-pressure moments. And the USA is increasingly built for exactly that. 20 years ago, American prospects mostly developed at home. Now they develop inside Europe's football ecosystem. Germany, England, Italy, Spain. They learn tactical discipline earlier. They face better opposition weekly. They grow up inside systems designed for elite performance. The result is a national team that no longer looks like a physical team trying to survive. It looks like a modern football nation, still evolving, but no longer behind. Now comes one of the biggest advantages in football: home soil. History is extremely clear. Host nations overperform. France won in 1998. South Korea shocked the world in 2002. Argentina and Uruguay lifted trophies at home in earlier eras. Because home advantage in football isn't just comfort. It's pressure shifting to the opponent. It's momentum building game by game, and its stadiums becoming a weapon. Now imagine that in 2026. 80,000 fans in knockout games. Momentum building across cities. A team feeding off belief rather than but organized, athletic, deep, and capable of adapting game to game. Over a long tournament, that profile becomes extremely dangerous. There is another truth shaping this moment. The traditional giants are still strong, but no longer untouchable. Argentina lost to Saudi Arabia in 2022. Germany and Spain were eliminated by Japan in the same tournament. Morocco reached a World Cup semi-final. South Korea continues to produce shock results. The gap has closed. And in knockout football, the gap often disappears completely. One game, one moment, one mistake, that's all it takes. And that creates opportunity. The rest of the world isn't stable. Either some of football's big nations are in transition phases. Squads aging, generations shifting, systems evolving. That doesn't make them weak, but it does make them vulnerable. And vulnerability is all a team needs to make a run. But this is not a finished project. The United States still lacks deep tournament pedigree. They have not reached semifinals. They have not learned what it feels like to carry expectations deep into a World Cup. There are also real football questions. Can they consistently convert chances? Can they stay defensively solid under knockout pressure? Can they survive the emotional weight of late-stage games? Because World Cups are not just tactical. They are psychological, and experience still matters. But for the first time, everything is pointing in the same direction. A young core entering its prime. European developed players in key positions. A tactical identity built for modern football. Home advantage, a favorable tournament structure. And most importantly, a belief that is no longer quiet, it's growing. For nearly a century, the United States has been building toward moments like this. From hosting in 1994, to breaking through in 2002, to surviving and growing in 2022, each generation added something new. And now, in 2026, everything comes together. This is no longer a nation trying to belong in world football. It is a nation arriving with real expectations for the first time. Will they win the World Cup? That remains a huge challenge. But reaching the late stages, competing with the world's best on home soil, is no longer unrealistic. It is the opportunity of a lifetime. And maybe, just maybe, this won't just be another World Cup for the United States. It could be the moment everything changes forever. If you're watching this unfold, the only real question left is simple. How far can they really go? Tell me in the comments. See you in our next video. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe so you don't miss out. Bye for now.